This is a presentation from the Supernaut Network.
Welcome to another episode of Resist or Serve, the limited event series of podcasts here at the Supernauts Network. This is IAB speaking, recovering from an Independence Day storm that we had here, and as my co-host, as usual, is a man who really likes when people are releasing best-of lists of the year when the year is not done. Puck propaganda.
No best of lists ever until January. Maybe December 30th or something, but no.
Yeah. I've been seeing you have a real Twitter rage about that.
I'm retweeting every best of list and then commenting on it saying, no, this is awful.
Yeah. And well, we were supposed to record last week, but I guess we can blame that on the El Nino or something.
Yeah, I got snowed in as well last week.
Yeah, Puck got snowed in and we had a horrible rainstorm here and the power was cutting on and off, so yeah, that's a big no-no for recording.
Yeah, we got our first, real snowfall of the year, close to 30 centimeters. So yeah, nice bit of snow. Half of it melted now, but yeah, we'll probably get more before Christmas.
Oh, well, haven't seen much snow yet. Well,
that's good.
Yeah, it's good, especially because I have some stuff outside that I need to get done before everything gets snowed in, so...
Yeah.
Yep. Not looking forward to a white Christmas.
No. It's nice to look at, but it's not nice to deal with.
Yep, exactly. Well, so there's not been any considerable news about the X-Files revival so far. I mean, I guess it's just counting down the days to January.
Yeah, I'd say they'll go into some heavy promotion mode now once the first week of January hits and the holidays are all over. But yeah, not much point in releasing anything new up until Christmas.
I think the last real bit was about a month ago when they released the last batch of promotional posters, and there's Cigarette Smoking Man on one poster, so yeah, he's certainly back at some shape or form.
Yep, that's good.
Yep, definitely good. So yeah, so no news, so we'll get right on to the subject, which is Season 7.
The wait is over.
Stop!
The fall's biggest event is here.
It's gone too far. How far would Mulder go?
It has power.
It is power.
The X-Files season premiere, Sunday at 9, 8 Central on Fox.
And, well, the first thing to say about Season 7 is it's the last season with David Duchovny as a permanent lead. I mean, after this, he only did a certain limited number of appearances. And as I recall, this news kind of created a lot of feedback in the news groups way back when. How did you feel about hearing this?
It was kind of before my a lot of internet time, but I was kind of pissed off about it anyway. I blamed his wife then. I still blame his wife now, or his ex-wife now, I guess. But yeah, but yeah, apparently he wanted to do more movies and stuff like that too. But whatever.
Yeah, and also there was that lawsuit that he filed on Fox about some unpaid revenues or something, and that certainly didn't help the case.
No, and I mean he did make a fairly strong effort in season 8 to show up and play his part. So I mean,
Yeah.
it's not like he totally abandoned the show at all.
Oh, no.
Season 9.
Yeah,
Season 9 could have used him a bit more, but I mean, we'll get into that when we get to those seasons.
And yeah, I mean, he even though he knew that this was his last season as lead, I mean, he was definitely not phoning it in any way.
No. And he wasn't really giving any indication in any of the episodes until the last one that it was his last.
Yeah. But yeah, my usual short walkthrough, well, short, but you know, a walkthrough through the mythology of season 7 is that, well, we continue where we were left off at the previous season's finale, when Mulder is basically a rambling lunatic in a psych ward, and Scully is investigating a crashed UFO at the Ivory Coast. And while she's trying to kind of decipher these symbols on the UFO that are revealed to be, you know, all sorts of religious texts from all religions of Earth, and also some descriptions of the human genome, she kind of encounters this series of what you would call omens. I mean, the seawater suddenly boils one of the workers, and then there's a swarm of locusts in her tent, and then the ocean turns red with blood. You know, not so subtle.
No, not at all.
And finally, this scientist that's there goes kind of insane and forces her to escape with sort of a government liaison from the site. And then at the end of the first episode, we see that the UFO is gone, basically.
Correct. Yeah, so they start tying in a bit more of the, I guess, religious imagery in there, due to the whole theory that aliens kind of created our, or started life on Earth, that sort of thing.
Well, it's in the second episode, it's kind of touched more when we kind of focus on Mulder. I mean, Mulder's condition is basically that his brain is working overtime. I mean, like 100%, and Skinner and a character called Kritschgau, who has appeared before, kind of help Mulder with some medical thingamajig for a while, and it's revealed that Mulder can actually read people's minds now, and he learns about Krychek's extorting Skinner and, you know, that nanovirus thing. But then Mulder's condition turns worse, and with the help of his mother, the cigarette-smoking man signs him out of the hospital. And then we have this long segment of Mulder on some weird operating table and hallucinating about a life where he marries Fowley. They have a family, and then Mulder grows old, and in his deathbed he gets to see the alien invasion.
Yeah.
which was a
bit of a nightmare.
Yeah, well, it was a kind of cool shot when the cigarette-smoking man is standing in the window, and we pull back to see this complete alien apocalypse in the background.
Yeah, yeah, it definitely was.
Yeah, and well, also, I don't remember if it's part of the hallucinations or not, but the cigarette-smoking man basically reveals to Mulder that he is his father.
I think it was part of the hallucination. Not 100% on that, though.
Yeah. And, well, Mulder, cigarette-smoking man believes that Mulder's brain has now the antibodies for the alien virus thingy, so they have this weird brain surgery where I guess some of Mulder's brain cells are transferred into cigarette-smoking man's brains or something. I'm not exactly sure what's going on there.
Yeah, that's a bit of one of the convoluted things, I guess, that starts to crop up.
Well, I mean, we've seen before that they did some same kind of a brain surgery on Gibson Praise, so...
Yes.
Yeah. But anyway, so then with the help of Fowley, Scully manages to rescue Mulder from the facility, but Fowley ends up dead, of course.
Yep.
So moving on to another two-parter of episodes, Sein und Zeit and Closer, where we finally get big reveal of Mulder's sister's fate, which turns out to be this weird kind of new age gobbledygook where her spirit is now was saved by walk-ins, and her spirit now lives in the stars or something. I mean, I think this was one of the worst payoffs of the mythology so far. I mean, it's as I understand, even some of the crew members kind of question this solution.
Yeah, I don't mind it too much. It does seem a bit cheap, but I guess I do like the abduction stuff that's explained. I do like the fact that she was like kidnapped or taken at some point by this kind of like serial killer type guy.
Mm.
I like all that aspect of it, but yeah, the whole I guess becoming an angel type of thing is a bit of a stretch.
Mm. And also at the same time, Mulder's mother commits suicide. You know, another family member bites the dust.
Yeah.
And of course, Mulder believes that she was murdered by the conspiracy and tries his damnedest to prove that, but at the end it's revealed that it really was her killing herself.
Yeah, that part's fine to me.
No. Then
she's been around long enough, and I guess suffered just as much as Mulder with the whole sister thing and all of that, and what she had going on with the cigarette smoking man. So it's plausible.
Yeah. Well, then cigarette smoking.
Oh, and it was revealed she had some disease near the end anyway, too, wasn't it?
Oh yeah, I mean, yeah, I think it was.
So I mean, she was basically taking herself out to avoid all the treatment and whatnot.
Yeah, I mean, I believe it was several seasons ago when she was seen in the hospital already. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, so the brain surgery apparently didn't work because in the next mythology episode, the cigarette-smoking man returns, and as he's grown tired of Mulder's stubbornness, he tries to lure Scully in by basically promising that if she works with him, he would give her cures to all diseases of the world as a kind of a last good act before he dies, because he is dying as a result of that surgery, or so he claims. But anyway, this was just a ruse, because he was kind of impersonating Scully to kind of lure out this scientist who has some basically a MacGuffin piece of technology of some sort. But there's a bizarre scene at the end of the episode where he kind of has this weird change of heart, and there's this data disk that has all the data of this technology, and he just throws it in the lake. So kind of a new character development there.
Yeah, it was a really good episode though. I like that one.
Yeah, and it was written and directed by William B. Davis himself.
Yep.
Definitely my favorite mythology episode this season.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. That or the finale, I guess.
Oh, well, then there's the finale called Requiem, where we go back where it all began. We return to the same location where Mulder and Scully went in the pilot, where there has been another UFO crash. And, well, basically, the alien bounty hunter is again roaming around, and he's kind of collecting all the previous abductees. At the same time, cigarette-smoking man returns, now looking way much worse than in the previous episode, because he's basically in a wheelchair. And he orders Krychek to find a UFO so they can kind of start their project again. Because basically cigarette-smoking man, Krychek, and Marita Covarrubias are all that's left of the syndicate.
Yeah, it's getting small.
Yeah, it's getting small, yeah. But in the end, it's kind of, it's the UFO crash may or may not have been just a decoy, because it really is about the alien bounty hunter kind of tying up loose ends in the earth, and he is collecting all the evidence and all the abductees, and while Skinner and Mulder are looking for the UFO, Mulder gets taken, and Skinner can't do anything but watch when the UFO flies off with Mulder in it. But then there's the end catch. I mean, Scully's been feeling sick throughout the whole episode, and the last reveal was, of course, that she's pregnant. Dun dun dun.
Dun dun dun.
Yeah, so there was the mythology.
Yep. I like the finale. It's a great finale that would have worked well if they would have worked better if the show ended at this point and it went off into more like annual or semi-annual movies.
Yeah, that's my feeling as well. I mean,
yeah, it would have worked way better then.
I mean, it would have been cool to continue on with the movie and Mulder making this kind of close encounter of the third kind appearance when the UFO returns or something. But
what can you do?
Yeah, I mean, there was apparently some talk that this would have been the last season, but well, the ratings were still good, so they decided to move on.
Yep, Fox needs its money cow.
Oh, and also, one last kind of end tag, Krychek does a very Krychek-y thing and pushes cigarette-smoking man down from the stairs in his wheelchair. So.
Yeah, and supposed to be yet another end of the cigarette-smoking man.
Yeah, well, we've seen this before.
He cannot die.
Yeah. But yeah, there was the season, as I said, the mythology was not the strongest part of this season, at least not in the beginning. I'm not.
No.
I just the whole religious / spiritual / New Age stuff. I just don't care for it.
Yeah, it's not the show's strong suit. And there is very little mythology again in this season. There's like what 1, 2, 3, 4,
6,
5 or 6 episodes.
6.
I mean, yeah, 6 if you even. I mean, technically the cigarette smoking man Scully episode you could kind of count as a standalone, really. Not so much a monster of a week, but doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of things for the mythology.
No, it's I guess the only is that it kind of points out that he is dying, so it's the overall plot that way.
Yeah. So there's not a lot of it, and I guess half of it works, half of it doesn't. And that makes it, I guess, look worse than it really is, where there is so little. When half of it doesn't work and there's not a lot of it, then it's more noticeable.
Yeah, well, the standalone episodes more than make up for that, I think, because there are some really good ones this year again.
Yep, they do for the most part, and I guess that brings us to my rating of the season.
Mm-hmm.
And so for season 7, I strangely enough came to a 7.7 out of 10, which I guess I'd round down to 7.5. Matching it with season 1. So it's the first real, I guess, drop in quality from season 2 through 6 all being top notch.
Yeah.
And even at a 7.5, I mean, that's still great and on my scale. And it's not so much that the show gets worse. It's that I think what happened is the really good episodes aren't quite as plentiful, and a lot of the really good episodes got a bit more experimental this season.
Yeah.
And they tried to balance that with a lot more safer, like by the book episodes that aren't quite as good, or they're simply just good and not really great. So the balancing act there kind of brought the season down a little bit, and that's really all there is to say on the season as a whole. Still great. Not up to par with the, I guess, excellent rated seasons, but still just as good or better than season 1.
Enter the world of illusion.
This will be my greatest show ever.
Where every secret,
I think we're being led around by our noses.
every deception
We're dealing with powerful forces at work here.
isn't what it seems.
Mulder, his head was cut off.
You look familiar to you, Scully?
The X-Files.
Plot thickens.
All new Sunday at 9, 8 Central on Fox.
Yep. So let's get down to the individual episodes. Your first pick.
My first pick is an episode that doesn't really get a lot of attention, I guess. The Goldberg variation. And yeah, I really like the concept of this one about a guy that just happens to be the luckiest man on earth, or vice versa, everyone that comes in contact with him becomes the unluckiest. But yeah, it's a really cool episode that involves some mafia stuff as well. And Willie Garson returns to the show to play his second character, Henry Weems. And he's even better in this one than he was in the first episode, which I can't remember the name of now. But yeah, he's great. I like him. He's really good as kind of like a likable schmuck, I guess you'd want to call him. A quirky type guy, but you still kind of like him nonetheless.
Yeah. That's...
So anyway, yeah, what were you going to say?
No, go on.
Oh, okay. So I guess I should get to the guts of the episode. Basically, Weems has this like extraordinary luck where he can survive numerous near deaths, such as falling from 29th story of a building, a gunshot ricocheting off of a pocket knife he's carrying, and at one point he mentions he was the sole survivor of a plane crash. So yeah, he basically can't die.
I guess it's implied that his streak of luck kind of began with the surviving of the plane crash.
Yes, that's true. And in reverse of this, his good luck causes those around him to have more or less bad luck. And the mobsters that are trying to kill him due to him winning a lot of money at a poker game they had keep dying in bizarre random events. And even people that aren't really bad that kind of come in contact him, like this guy that picks up a lottery ticket that Weems won, but didn't want it because he wouldn't get the money right away.
Yeah.
The guy picks it up and gets hit by a truck almost immediately. So
basically, the minute he steps out the door, splat.
So yeah, he's not a good guy to be around.
Yeah.
And yeah, I also like how they tie. I guess this comes in from the title as well. The Rube Goldberg machines into the episode. Weems has a fascination with these devices, and it kind of parlays into how some of the mobsters get killed. They're very strange chain of events type of things that lead to their death. So those are really cool. And I guess the last...
Yeah, I love Mulder and Scully's reactions to seeing the aftermath of some of these accidents. I mean...
Yes. Yeah, really good. And I guess the last thing I have to mention is that this was one of the first acting jobs, I guess, for Shia LaBeouf, our favorite actor in the world at the Supernuts.
Well, he's not bad in this one.
No, he's fine, I guess. He's like a dying kid, so I mean, it's not a hard thing to do, I suppose.
Yeah, the fame hadn't yet come to his head.
No. And I guess, unfortunately, he survives thanks to Weems uniquely getting him some organs donated from the mobsters that ended up dead.
The mobster who gets this kind of in this string of electric shocks / hook flying through the room into his face.
Yeah, so Shia is saved and his career continues, unfortunately.
Well, there's this great line when Mulder says, how does it feel to be the luckiest man in the world? And the response, it's horrible.
I'd take it.
Yeah. Okay, so my first pick would be The Amazing Malini, which, well, as the title might hint, it deals with the world of magic and illusion. I mean, it's basically the story here is Ricky Jay plays a magician who makes his last final great trick, and it's the exorcist trick where he turns his head 360 degrees. And after the performance, he's found dead in his van, and his head falls off. So naturally, this calls Mulder and Scully to the location. But it turns out that this magician Malini, whose real name is Herman Pinchbeck, actually has a twin brother named Albert, also played by Ricky Jay, of course. And
Yes.
well, basically, it's not. Besides the head twisting, this is not necessarily an X-File episode. I mean, it's more. It turns to be more of a heist, or a scam story.
Yes.
Because,
I was going to mention that too.
Yeah, because Pinchbeck is actually, this is a really elaborate scheme by Pinchbeck and a fellow magician called LaBonge, also played by a real-life magician called Jonathan Lewitt. Because basically Pinchbeck has a gambling debt, and he and LaBonge, when Pinchbeck's brother accidentally dies of a heart attack, decide to stage Malini's death. And then they try to basically pin this real, I guess, a theft on the bookie, so he can get rid of his gambling debts. This bookie called Sissy Alvarez, played by Robert Lasardo, who is, again, one of those, that guy in That Thing. I mean, he's this skinny guy who you have seen in a million movies and TV shows. So basically, it's an elaborate scheme to get rid of some gambling debts, but then it turns out to be an even more elaborate scheme where they were trying to get their hands on some wire transfers by using Mulder's fingerprint and badge number or something. But, in the end, Mulder proves to be the biggest master of, how should I say, magic.
Yeah, I like his rundown at the end of basically the entire way that they were deceived.
Mm-hmm. I mean, the whole episode is kind of filled with misdirection and sleight of hand.
Yep.
But it's one of my favorites, probably because I love Ricky Jay. I mean, I'm just always been a big fan of his kind of sarcastic delivery of lines and his whole persona.
Yeah, I don't think I was familiar with him until this episode, to tell you the truth. But yeah, he's definitely great in the episode.
And also, you get a lot of info about the truth behind the illusion of some of these tricks in the process, which is always cool.
Did this maybe lead to the Fox show where they uncovered the secrets of magic? I can't remember if that was released around this time or not.
I'm not familiar with that one.
Oh, it was this reality show where they did magic tricks, and then this guy in a masked magician, he would reveal how they were all done. It pissed a lot of magicians off at the time.
I'm not sure.
I think it was on Fox. Pretty sure.
Could be. But yeah, not necessarily a supernatural X-File, but more of a heist story. But yeah, really cool episode. And
definitely.
It would make a good kind of a double feature with Circus Freak episode Humbug. I mean, they are both kind of that light-hearted fun.
Yep. Amusement-y park type atmosphere.
Exactly. So you.
Okay. My number 2 is Hungry, which is a very unique episode in that it's a Monster of the Week episode told from the point of view of the Monster of the Week. So yeah, not a lot of Mulder and Scully in this episode, and when they do appear, they're basically portrayed as the antagonists to the monster, who is Rob Roberts, a fast food worker at Lucky Boy Burgers, who just so happens to feed on human brains. So yeah, he's basically kind of like some sort of mutant, I guess, is the best way to describe him. And he hides himself among humans by using some pretty fancy and extensive makeup and prosthetics, I guess.
Yeah, fake nose, fake ears, fake teeth.
Yes, exactly. So yeah, basically what happens in this episode, or I guess before I get to that, is the Rob character is made. You're really made to feel his plight throughout the episode, even though you know he's bad and he's murdering people. It's something that he can't really control, and you can see that he's actively trying to fight it. He's tried like diet pills to keep himself from eating, I guess, and at one point he goes to a Overeaters Anonymous meeting on the advice of a counselor, and yeah, he just can't control it, and basically that leads to his eventual downfall.
No.
So yeah, other than that, like I said, we see Mulder and Scully only briefly, and because of that, the episode relies heavily on the actor playing Rob, who is Chad Donella. Not particularly well known, but most people might remember him from the gruesome shower death in Final Destination.
Oh,
a
God.
Very underrated film, in my opinion. The sequels can go fuck themselves, but the original film is fucking awesome as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, it still works.
Oh yeah, definitely. There's that movie has a lot of like hidden clue type stuff as well. Like a lot of people like to reference The Sixth Sense for having a lot of clues about the fate of Bruce Willis and whatever. But man, the clues in this one as to who's going to die and when they're going to die and how they're going to die is there's so many there that it requires like constant rewatches.
And I mean, the movie was from Glenn Morgan and James Wong.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep.
And as I understand, it was once supposed to be an X-File episode.
Yes, I believe I read that at one point. Yep. So yeah, I love that movie. But anyway, let's move on to Chad, I guess.
Yep.
He's, like I said, he's excellent in the role. He has this weird combination of creep and sympathy, I guess, going for him. And there's also some other good supporting cast members in this one, guest stars. We've got Mark Pellegrino from Lost and Supernatural fame. On Lost, he was, what's his name? Jacob, I think.
Yeah.
On Supernatural,
Yep.
He plays Lucifer. So anyway, he's a co-worker that tries to blackmail Rob when he discovers his secret, and of course he ends up dead. And then we also have Judith Hoag, I think you would pronounce her last name, as Dr. Mindy Reinhardt. She's the counselor that refers Rob to the Overeaters Anonymous, and she comes up again near the end.
Yeah.
She's played by, I already said Judith Hoag, but she's famous as being the original April O'Neil from the first Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, other than that, just some quick notes. I like how they compared his hunger to eating disorders.
Yeah, that was a clever.
That was really well done. I'm familiar with people that have suffered from eating disorders, and it's portrayed really accurately in how it's almost like as bad as a drug addiction. It's just uncontrollable to them and something that's very, very difficult to fight. And yeah, so they really did that well. It lended a bit of like a pseudo realism, I guess, to the episode. And as we mentioned earlier, the makeup effects with the ears and the teeth and everything are just amazing.
And then there's this weird tongue appendix that he launches
Yes.
in people's heads.
Yeah, which if anyone hasn't seen this episode, but they've seen that new series, The Strain, it's a little bit similar to how they shoot their things out and stick them into your head and suck out the brains, I guess. But they just do blood in The Strain or whatever. Yeah, and then the ending is great as well. It's really bittersweet with the whole suicide by cop thing. And I guess even though it's bittersweet, it leans a bit more towards depressing due to the fact that you've come to like Rob throughout the episode, especially at the end where he decides not to kill Dr. Reinhardt. So yeah, just an amazing, unique episode, and another, I guess, excellent Vince Gilligan scripted show.
Yeah. Yeah, he tends to be in charge of a lot of the best episodes.
Yep. A lot of his episodes lean more to the, I guess, comedy side as well, but this one certainly doesn't.
Well, I think the only slightly humorous aspect is that Mulder keeps appearing in the mutant's life whenever he's not
Yes.
whenever he is not needed there, Mulder appears. I mean, I guess you could say that he's suspicious of the character right from the get-go.
Yeah, Mulder keeps getting in the way, and I guess maybe some of his hallucinations could be a little bit funny, like how he's watching the burgers cook and he sees them as brains and that sort of thing. But again, I don't think that's done for the comedy. It's done more to clue in with the whole eating disorder thing.
Yeah, it's a psychological thing.
Yep.
So my next pick would be episode written and directed by David Duchovny called Hollywood AD. Which the title might be either Hollywood AD as in the Christian sense or Hollywood assistant director because of the way Skinner is played in this episode.
Or maybe even after Duchovny. It's a hint at him leaving the show.
Well, who knows? But anyway, so the story is basically that an old friend of Skinner's, a screenwriter and producer, as he likes to say, is kind of gathering material for an upcoming movie. And basically, in the first act, he's following Mulder and Scully around, constantly talking into his little tape recorder and annoying the hell out of Mulder. But Mulder and Scully are investigating this case of 60s radical guy re-emerging as a forger of religious documents and this thing called the Lazarus Ball, which is said contains the words that Christ used to reanimate Lazarus or something like that. But I mean, it's again, as is the case with the comedy episodes, that primal plot is kind of thrown in the back because the whole thing kind of becomes a satire or an homage to, the golden age of Hollywood.
Yeah.
Because Skinner, or as the friend calls him, Skin Man, is kind of constantly reporting the case to him, and in the end, when the case is kind of closed because the dead 60s radical turns out to be alive, he only thinks that he's Jesus or something or the other. The case is kind of told to be closed, so the screenwriter invites Mulder and Scully into Hollywood to look at the filming of the movie, and of course they meet the actors who are playing them in the movie, which is who are Gary Shandling and Téa Leoni. And as they are required to give kind of some character insight or character tips. Of course, Shandling needs to know on which side of the trousers he wears his junk, because it's an important character motivation.
Yeah.
And of course, Téa Leoni needs to know how in the hell Scully can run in the high heels. All this important character stuff.
Yeah.
And Skinner is of course made an associate producer. I mean, Skinner goes completely Hollywood in the end of this episode. And there's this funny thing, Gary Shandling plays Mulder. I mean, Mulder's first suggestion was that Richard Gere would be playing him. It's this kind of running joke when Richard Gere is actually playing Skinner in the movies, or so we are told, because they couldn't get Richard Gere in the episode for some reason. And of course, this whole Lazarus Ball case in the movie turns into this kind of, you could call it B Hollywood Raiders of the Lost Ark type thing with zombies everywhere, and
yeah.
But yeah, it's it's a fun episode. I mean, when being told that it's written and directed by Duchovny and guest starring Téa Leoni, you would think that it's got some kind of a vanity project. But yeah, it's really well made. Really well made.
Oh yeah, it's definitely a hilarious episode.
Yeah.
The producer guy, Wayne Fetterman, I think is his name. He kind of sort of plays himself as well, I guess, or uses his real name anyway in the episode.
He uses his real name, but
Yeah.
I guess he's not a producer in real life. I mean, he's
No.
a stand-up comedian, as I understand.
Yeah. The scene where he's watching the skeleton bones put together the pottery.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that one.
That cracks me up every time. And even better than that scene, I guess, is the triple split screen bubble bath with Duchovny and Mulder, Scully, and Skinner.
Oh yeah, when Mulder and Scully are not even admitting that they are in a bubble bath, but
No.
Skinner just plainly said, "I'm in a bubble bath."
Yeah.
And then there's this moment when Mulder is switching to other line to talk to Scully, and he says, "Skin Man is calling from the bubble bath," and then Skinner just says, "I can still hear you."
Yeah, one of the oldest jokes in the book, but it's always funny.
I mean, Mitch Pileggi's delivery is just.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Skinner got a slice of the good life in this episode.
Yeah, definitely.
Mm.
And Gary Shandling was great. Nice to see him and Duchovny working together again. Did you ever watch the show he did? I can't remember the name of it now. The HBO one.
Larry Sanders.
Landy Sanders show. Yes, that's it.
I've heard of it, but I've not seen it.
Duchovny used to be on that show every now and then, and he was basically playing himself more or less, but he had a gay crush on Shandling's character.
In that scene they have together, you can see that they have a great chemistry on screen.
Yep. Yep.
I mean, awkward talking about
yeah, but definitely a classic episode for sure.
I mean, there's also some slight nods at nods. I mean, Mulder and Scully at one point are watching Plan 9 from outer space in Mulder's apartment, and the graveyard that in the climax of the movie takes place really looks a lot like the graveyard in Plan 9 from outer space.
Yeah, that's a nice touch as well.
It's not exactly realistic looking.
No. It must have been a B movie.
Yeah. It must have bombed because they are back at work in the next episode again.
Yep, they didn't make it rich.
And
Skinner's stuck at the FBI.
Yeah, and of course, Mulder hates the way he's portrayed in the movie.
Oh, definitely.
Sunday.
Run! To the car! Back in the car now!
The X-Files team up with cops to track down a deadly predator.
And that glowing red eyes and claws.
Can I see your badge again?
It's the most daring episode yet.
I need backup! 500 block of press!
The X-Files, all new at 9/8 Central Fox Sunday.
So, you're next?
My best episode of the season and one of the best episodes of the series for me is X-Cops.
Oh, yes.
Which is just fucking awesome. So I guess quickly for those unaware, it basically creates a cops show out of the X-Files by incorporating Mulder and Scully into the live footage. And Cops, for those who don't know, was a really long-running reality TV show here in the U.S.
Is it still running? I'm not sure.
I don't think it's on Fox anymore. I think it's on like Spike or something. Oh. But yeah, it's definitely still running. And anyway, it just follows real police officers around while they're on the job and seeing them arrest people and shit like that. I don't know. People love it for some reason. But anyway, so the episode follows that exact same format. It's other than the fact that it's fictionalized, and basically in the beginning it's following the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department as they try to capture somebody that's terrorizing this neighborhood, and at first it's apparently maybe a werewolf, according to Mulder. And the entire episode is shot on videotape, shown in real time, more or less. It uses all of the exact same cops presentation material from the intro, the Bad Boys music.
Yeah, and the graphics.
All the graphics, the disclaimer, even the announcer, I believe, at one point.
I mean, I think they actually used a real camera crew from the show.
Oh, yep. They brought in one of the cops' cameramen to help, and they even had some real police officers and that sort of thing for extras in a lot of scenes, such as one where they're breaking down the door, and they basically were just told to do what you would normally do.
Yeah.
We don't have any instructions really for you in the script other than break down the door. So yeah, and I mean, it wouldn't even have been identified as an X-Files episode at all if Vince Gilligan had his way, but the network basically forced him to, okay, you gotta have like some X-Files title card or something come up at some point.
They do have the intro there after the kind of opening scene.
Yeah, so they forced that in there, but yeah, I guess some people might have thought, oh shit, it's Cops this week instead of X-Files, change the channel, because I mean, even in the beginning, there's no Mulder and Scully at all for the first, I guess, 5 minutes or so.
I mean, they really should have left the X-Files intro off. I mean, it would have.
Oh yeah, on the DVD or Blu-ray, I guess maybe they should have changed the presentation to make it more authentic to Vince Gilligan's vision, I guess, but not a big deal. It still works. And it works in hilarious fashion, I guess, because that's essentially what this episode is. Fucking hilarious, beginning to end. Mulder's essentially mugging for the camera because he's like, oh yeah, I'm going to get to show everybody the truth. Yay. And Scully is actively trying to avoid being on camera. Eventually, at the end, she kind of relents, but for the most part, she's covering her face and trying to hide away.
I mean, she kind of relents after Skinner tells her that the FBI has no secrets.
Exactly. Which and that line kind of I guess is not really a callback because this episode happens later, but your Hollywood AD pick makes a lot of sense after Skinner says that.
Yeah.
So yeah, other than that,
still
there's
trying to get that camera time.
Yeah. So yeah, other funny parts is we've got the sketch artist tries to draw who one woman claims is the intruder, and it turns out to be Freddy Krueger.
Yeah.
And there's these two guys, Steve and Eddie, a gay black couple that's hilarious whenever they show up. And so yeah, it's like part parody, part satire. I don't really know how to describe it really, other than it's just funny. And on top of that, it does have a couple scary moments with in the opening with Deputy Wenzel and the camera crew are attacked in a car.
Yeah, that's a great shot because you can see that they are first running into the car and then the car gets flipped. So it must have taken some time to do.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that intro doesn't really prepare you for any of the humor that's to come. I mean, it's being set up as a kind of a straightforward episode in the beginning. And then at the end, it kind of goes back to this as well, with Wetzel locked in a room with this creature.
Which we never see.
Which we never see, exactly. And Wetzel's played by Judson Mills. I'll just throw that out there. He used to be on Walker, Texas Ranger, which I never watched. But there's a lot of Chuck Norris fans out there. They might know him. So yeah, he's really good. Just a typical officer that's trying to be cool for the camera and also freaking the fuck out. So yeah, to get to the resolution of the episode, I guess, basically we find out that this creature is kind of a entity that feeds on fear, and as such it appears differently to whoever it's fear it's feeding on. So at first we have it as kind of a werewolf, and then it's Freddy Krueger to that old lady, and it's an ex-boyfriend to a missus.
Yeah. And
the hantavirus to a doctor. And then, God fucking forbid, the wasp man at the for Deputy Wetzel.
No, you mentioned the hantavirus. I mean, that's an insane scene when Scully is making an autopsy on this victim and starts mentioning hantavirus, and this kind of, I guess she's an orderly or something.
Coroner, I think, yeah.
And she kind of develops the symptoms of a hantavirus on camera in a couple of seconds. I mean,
Yeah. Totally absurd.
yeah.
And so we, like you said, we never really see any glimpse of it. So it kind of puts the audience in Mulder's experience in that we're trying to see validation of his theory at the same time he is, and due to lack of evidence and unreliable witnesses, we never get there.
Yeah.
Yep.
Keeping up with that theme.
Yep. And I guess the last thing I want to say is I think this was probably the first time a fictional show ever presented itself as an episode of another show entirely. And I mean, it pretty much is entirely, other than like the X-Files intro comes up and that sort of thing.
I mean, that's basically it. I mean, it's the X-Files intro and the X-Files end credits, but other than that...
Exactly. Yep. So, I mean, other shows have done sort of things like that, where like their characters might have shown up on a real talk show or something like that within their own show. But I mean, an episode completely like this is basically unheard of. I even tried to find instances of it post this episode, and I couldn't really find any.
Well, I think this episode is the kind of best example of what they could get when they moved to LA with the production. I mean,
exactly.
They sure couldn't have done that while they were in Vancouver.
No, unless they wanted Mounties, I guess, instead of cops. And even then, we don't have a cops show in Canada, so they would have had to have changed a lot.
Yeah.
Yep. The only other example I could find, strangely enough, is another cops episode of a show I really like. My Name is Earl, and they did a two-parter like this. So I guess similar running time once you add two-part of a half-hour comedy.
Yeah,
but that episode is really fucking good as well, but not quite as incorporated as this one.
I mean, they had this kind of annual celebration of watching their appearance on Cops or something.
Exactly. So they had some footage of not being on the show, of them actually watching the show. So it's not as incorporated as the X-Files episode, but they definitely took the idea from the X-Files.
I mean, it's actually a great benefit of the Cops formula, because they can actually say the F word in the universe of the X-Files, only that it's beeped. But anyway. Oh.
Exactly. Yeah, so it goes back to what was the first episode they did that in? The Jose Chung's from Outer Space, I think.
Yeah, it's blankety bleep.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean that's the female deputy's first reaction when Mulder talks about the werewolf, and she says, "What the fuck are you talking about?"
Yeah. Very, very realistic reaction.
I mean, it's made more hilarious when Mulder talks to Scully a bit after that, and he says that it's not live because she said fuck.
Yeah. So yeah, that's one of my favorite episodes, and I guess we'll go on to your last episode for this season now.
Yeah, and actually second to last episode of the season. Another I hope I'm pronouncing this right. It's Jesuhate. I'm not sure if that's correct, but
I think the T might be silent for French, Jesuhate, but I don't know.
Yeah. Well, anyways.
I know a little French, but not much.
Anyways, the story is that this kind of janitor type called Anson Stokes finds a genie abandoned in a storage locker, and basically this genie is a French woman from the 15th century who was kind of made a genie against her wishes. Well, I mean, I guess it's a running gag in this episode, because the genies are way too literate about their ways of making wishes come true. I mean, you would have to be insanely specific to get the preferred result. But anyways, this what attracts Mulder and Scully is the fact that this janitor tells his boss to shut up, and of course his mouth grows closed. I mean, that's the pre-credits thing.
Yeah.
And when they go to the Stokes residence, they find this giant boat next to the trailer that the Stokes brothers are living. So I guess they wished for a boat, but they didn't say that it had to be in water. So. And well, they don't find any evidence of foul play, and a bit after that, Anson makes another wish that he wishes he was invisible. And of course he gets run over by a car. Because, I mean, even though he pressed the button so the traffic light would, the walking light would turn green, nobody saw him, so boom.
Yep.
And, I mean, this begins an absolutely hysterical sequence when the body of an invisible man is brought to Scully to perform an autopsy. I mean, Gillian Anderson's reactions are just absolutely hysterical when she finds out that she has a body of an invisible man.
Yeah, it's an amazingly well done scene with the whole dusting to make the body appear and everything.
And well, they then investigate further, and they find out that this genie was actually, well, she was pretty much present in all bad things that have happened in history. They find her standing in the background of photographs of Mussolini and Richard Nixon, for example. I mean, she's just basically fed up with humanity and the fact that humans are morons, basically.
Yeah.
I mean, Anson's brother is in a wheelchair, and of course, and she tries to kind of hint that you could wish him to be able to walk again, but they choose to make stupid wishes. And of course, Anson's brother wishes Anson would come back from the dead, which he does. Just as Scully is about to show the body of an invisible man to some scientists, his brother makes a wish and he turns up in the trailer again. Of course, he's in some weird composing state because, well, I guess he wished that his brother would come back, but he didn't specify that he had to be alive.
Zombified body.
Yeah. And then he wishes that the brother could speak, and then he proceeds to scream about 50 minutes, or at least during the commercials. It's just, I guess the theme of the episode is, be careful what you wish for.
Yep. And that be careful what you wish for leads to the best part of the episode for me is when Mulder ends up with his wishes. Wishes for peace on Earth, and basically the genie wipes out the entire human population.
Yeah, it's a great scene of Mulder running around the streets, and there's nobody there, just abandoned cars and everything.
Yeah, so then he has to undo it with his second wish, and thankfully, I guess Scully saves the day at the end with a cliche ending, but I mean it does fit Scully perfectly.
Mm-hmm.
Matches up with the Aladdin movie, and I guess I don't know if the story was that way as well. I've never actually read the book that's based on, but
no. Yeah. I mean, after Mulder is kind of typing this very specific, several thousand word specific wish about the world peace, he then just decides to wish that the genie would be human again.
Yeah, on Scully's behest, of course.
Yeah. But yeah, really funny episode. The genie thing is another that's there are a lot of bad movies made about the subject, but Zapped or some other stuff like that. But
some movie with Shaq in it.
Yeah, well, that too. I mean, guests. I'd like to point out some guest stars. The Stokes brothers are played by Kevin Weisman, who people who watch Alias recognize, and his brother is played by Will Sasso, I guess best known from Mad TV.
Yeah, big fan of Sasso's when he was on Mad TV.
No, I mean his Steven Seagal impression is still one of the best I've seen.
Yeah, Kenny Rogers fucking cracks me up too. Yeah, he hasn't had much luck since Mad TV, I guess, with being cast and stuff, but he was on Justified there. I don't know if it was last season or season before, but he was pretty good on Justified for a little while.
No.
I think it might have only been 1 or 2 episodes, but yeah, he was good.
Oh yeah, well, Skinner makes a really short appearance when after Mulder has wished the world peace thing and nobody's there. He finds the genie in Skinner's office and, well, basically wishes, unwishes, but of course he's still standing in the office when everybody reappears, and in the middle of sentence he's basically calling her a bitch or something, and Skinner is having a meeting behind him at the same time and kind of turns out, is everything all right, Agent Mulder?
Yeah.
But yeah, great episode.
Yeah, very well done. So yeah, I guess that brings to a conclusion our great episodes. I don't know if there were any like fairly good ones or anything you wanted to mention.
Not so much. I think we should go to the not so great ones.
Yeah, I think we should too, seeing how there's one I particularly don't like, and I believe there's one you particularly don't like as well.
Yep.
Yeah, so we'll start with mine, and yeah, my episode is Fight Club, and this is probably my least favorite X-Files episode of all time, largely due to the fact that I can't fucking stand Kathy Griffin.
You're not
Kathy
alone.
Griffin, yeah.
You're not alone, man.
She is fucking terrible, and she's just horrible in everything she's ever been in, and makes everything worse just by being there on screen. She doesn't even have to open her mouth, and she just fucking annoys me. It's, oh my god. Oh, the worst human being ever. Maybe not that far, but yes, I can't stand her in anything. And not only does she play one character in this fucking episode, she plays 2. So her bullshit is doubled. And yeah, that alone would probably put this as the worst episode of X-Files for me. But in addition to that, it's just not a very good episode in general. I mean, story-wise, the concept is kind of cool in that there'd be these 2 siblings that, I guess, kind of opposite magnetically oppose each other, and in doing so, they cause everybody around them to kind of go into chaos. That's kind of cool. But
there's, in my mind, the only kind of good thing about the episode is the pre-credits sequence when there are kind of Mulder and Scully doppelgangers. Who are actually played by the Duchovnys and Anderson's stand-ins, if I remember correctly, and they end up in a horrible. They basically beat each other to death.
Yeah,
and
so that's not too bad.
Only then do we see their faces. I mean, we are kind of led to believe that this is Mulder and Scully beating each other up at first.
Yeah, exactly. So that's not too bad, but the episode kind of goes for comedy, and it's scripted by Chris Carter, who very rarely tries to do any comedy, because if this episode's any proof, he's no good at it.
Yeah.
So he needs to basically just stick to the mythology and the scary episodes and leave the comedy for the other guys like Gilligan and
Spotsnitz
and those guys.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just not a great episode at all, and yeah, it's magnified by Kathy Griffin.
Okay, so my worst episode is Millennium. And, well...
Which is an interesting pick to me, so I need to hear this.
Well, it's, as an X-Files episode, it's kind of mediocre, but as a kind of backgate finale to the TV show Millennium, it fucking sucks. Honestly. I mean, it's... in the TV series Millennium, we were kind of promised that, the change of the millennia would provide some sort of an apocalyptic doomsday disaster or something, and what does it amount to? 4 fucking zombies in a cellar.
Well, maybe if they got out of the cellar, they could have created more.
Yeah, I mean, I know that they were kind of said that they were the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse or something, but I mean, they get very easily taken down with a couple of headshots. So
yeah,
you know, it's as a finale to Millennium, it's so fucking disappointing. And I mean, I read that, you know, Lance Henriksen, who loved the character of Frank Black and the show, I mean, he himself even hates this episode. So
that's not selling it very well then at all.
yeah. But I mean, I guess they felt that, you know, because this was the last episode of the X-Files before the change of millennia, they felt that they had to kind of complete the story. But, you know, a TV movie might have been a better way to go.
Yeah.
Because
nowadays they would have brought it back as like an event series to end Millennium. So
yeah.
Unfortunately, they ruined that, I guess.
I mean, and of course, you know, I guess the writers kind of realized that they didn't have a pretty good ending, so they decided to add the moment to the end of this episode, where Mulder and Scully really kiss for the first time. And that's basically the only scene that the episode is remembered from nowadays, which is probably for the good.
Yeah, that is true. Yeah, I thought it was an okay episode, but I mean, like I said, I've seen very few episodes of Millennium, so to me, I didn't have any attachment to it at all or any expectations.
Yeah, it's just a very, I guess it was really quickly written up when they decided to get Lance Henriksen to reprise the character one more time.
Yeah, more than likely.
Yeah. But yeah, well, okay, so we get to see Frank Black kind of have some inner peace and walk into the sunset with his daughter or something, but, you know, zombies, man.
Yep. So I guess that about wraps up this episode.
Yeah, so now it's on to the Agent Doggett era.
Yep. And what's her name?
Reyes.
Reyes, yes.
Well, she appears...
Agent Doggett and Reyes.
Yeah, well, she appears a bit later on.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. But yeah, so on the next episode, we'll see if the Mulder-less seasons hold up. And
exactly.
We'll try to set the recording dates on days that there are no storms.
Which is getting tougher now. It's winter time where we are, people. We're not in fucking sunny California or Florida or even New York like a lot of you guys.
Yep. So, last words?
I don't know. Bad boys, what you gonna do?
All right, goodbye.
Bad boys, what you want, what you gonna do when Sheriff John Brown come for you? Tell me what you wanna do, what you gonna do? Yeah. Bad boys, what you gonna do? What you gonna do when they come for you? Bad boys, what you gonna do? What you gonna do when they come for you? When you were 8 and you had bad traits, you go to school and learn the golden rule. So why are you acting like a bloody fool? If you get hot, then you must get cool. Bad boys, what you gonna do? Or what you gonna do when they come for you? Bad boys, what you gonna do? Or what you gonna do when they come for you? You chuck it on that one, you chuck it on this one, you chuck it on your mother and you chuck it on your father, you chuck it on your brother and you chuck it on your sister, you chuck it on that one and you chuck it on me. Bad boys, what you gonna do? What you gonna do when they come for you? Bad boys, what you gonna do? What you gonna do when they come for you? Bad boys, what you gonna do? What you gonna do when they come for you? Bad boys, what you gonna do? What you gonna do when they come for you? Nobody now give you no break. Police now give you no break. That old soldier man I give you no break. Not even your eyes now give you no breaks. Hey, bad boys, what you gonna do? What you gonna do when they come for you? Bad boys, what you gonna do? What you gonna do when they come for you? Bad boys, what you gonna do? What you gonna do when they come for you? act so mean? Don't you know you're a human being, born of a mother with the love of a father? Reflection comes and reflection goes. I know sometimes you wanna let go. Hey, 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 I know sometimes you wanna let go. Bad boys, what you gonna do? What you gonna do when they come for you? Bad boys, what you gonna do? What you gonna do when they come for you? You're too bad, you're too rude, you're too bad, you're too rude, yeah. Bad boys, what you gonna do? What you gonna do when they come for you? Bad boys, what you gonna do? What you gonna do when they come for you? You chuck it on that one, you chuck it on this one, you chuck it on your mother and you chuck it on your father, you chuck it on your brother and you chuck it on your sister, you chuck it on that one and you chuck it on me. Bad boys, what you gonna do? What you gonna do when they come for you? Bad boys, what you gonna do? What you gonna do when they come